Welcome everyone to another week of the Focus TV. We got Octavia Wyatt here, Raymond Lyons. I am Wilson Tarpey Jr. Look, season 7, episode 38 of the Focus. We're gonna get started this week with the same thing we've been talking about for quite a while. In case you somehow are not aware of this, we are nearing, the end of the 2024 Summer Olympics. So with that said, I'm gonna jump in with you two and what did you guys taking away from? Again, just another weekly check-in on pretty much just asking you guys what you've watched in the Olympics this week. Because seemingly every week something else crazy happens. Again, it's the Olympics. There's a sublime joy in the kind of honestly the opposite of it, depending on where people finish. Octavia, we'll start with you and then Ray.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot. Literally Saturday, I don't think I might have left the house once, and I literally just watched NBC and USA all day, no matter what was on, to be fair. Probably my biggest takeaways is, of course, gymnastics. It was a little unfortunate to see Simone and Suni Lee fall off the balance beam, even though they weren't alone. And to see neither one of them medal was a little sad, just knowing that they both are really, really good on beam. And then also, after beam was floor was, exhilarating. The change at the end with the tenths of a point with Jordan Childs, and I think the girl from Poland, I don't know who it was, to take her off of the podium was crazy. It was crazy, but shout out to coaches doing this. Is why we need coaches, because her coaches challenged that her start value on a particular skill was rated too low. They challenged it. It was successful. And that's how they were able to give her that extra tenth of a point that allowed her to be moved up into bronze. And then shout out to Rebecca Andrade. I always say her last name wrong. From Brazil. She got her first gold medal. Beating Simone in floor is hard. It's really hard. Even though we know Simone gave it to her in a sense, not on purpose, but Simone doesn't usually step out of bounds that far and wide that often. As we saw earlier in that too, she tweaked her calf again, so I wonder if that had something to do with it. But regardless, she got silver. She's leaving with another medal. She's the most decorated, most decorated women's gymnastics. It was just wow. What else was I really into? Watching the women's soccer games today. They're killing me. I'm going to tell you that. But they're killing me, though, because they keep going into extra time and having to get this last hurrah score in order to win 1-0. They did that in the previous game against Japan, and then they did it today against Germany. But the Stars are doing what they're supposed to do. In the last game, it was Trinity Rodman. In the game today, it was Sophia Smith. This young movement is working. Especially with their coach only being with them for 8 or 9 games now. So they're doing big things. And then, of course, basketball, the men are still dominating and the women are dominating. And, it's nice that the 3-on-3 women were able to pull out a bronze, even though I feel like they had an up and down kind of Olympics pulling out the bronze. To medal is a big deal regardless. Even though, of course, the U.S. only wants gold. But probably my favorite thing of the whole weekend was a 100-meter track race. I couldn't tell who won. I swore on everything that Noah Lyles lost. I was like, dang, he did all that talking. Everybody was like, NBA Twitter is about to be in an uproar. It was about to go wild. And to see him, I think they said he won by 5 thousandths of a point or something, like not 100th of a point, but like 5,000th of a point. That little bit of a lean. And I learned a lot as well, because I never really followed track that much. Learning a lot that it has nothing to do with your foot. It has to do with your upper torso and clavicle bones passing the finish line first. And that's what was able to get him to win. Also, I don't know if you want to call it turmoil, but whatever happened that caused a lot of the Jamaican women to pull out of their races. Shelly Ann Fraser Price pulled out with an injury. And then Sharika Jackson pulled out seemingly due to not being able to warm up before the race, as well as Sha'Carri Richardson, who still was able to run in the race and pull out a silver, and her teammate TT Terry also being able to pull out a bronze. So still getting two American women on the podium in the 100. Kudos. And then Gabby Douglas today in the 200, dusting everybody, just dusting everybody. So track by far is my favorite so far, outside of gymnastics. But track is really heavy right now. Even watching some of the field events was pretty cool. Some of the stuff I don't get to watch a lot, like the hammer toss and the shot put. And I don't know who she is. I can't say her name, of course. It's somebody from Ukraine with the high jump. Oh, she was doing that thing with ease. And I mean, and then she would just go right back over to her little sleeping bag and just chill until her next jump. It was making it look so easy. I was like, Lord Jesus. So, I mean, there was a lot, there was an upset in the 1500 men's today. There was an upset for the women's and I think they called it cycling or something, some cycling where we've never won gold and they were able to do that. I watched some kind of, I don't want to say weird, but some kind of things that I didn't even know were Olympic sports, like kayaking. It's like they're on this like makeshift water wave thing and they got to go around. It's like an obstacle course in a kayak on like a slip and slide that you would see at like King's Dominion or something. I was like, wow, like, how do you get, like, in my head, I'm like, how do you get into this type of stuff? Like, where does it come from? Like, but hey, I mean, they were out that thing, paddling that thing, going around. So, like, that's why I like watching the Olympics. You always see something that you don't really expect or you don't really pay that close attention to. Last but not least, honorable mention to table tennis. They was out that thing. They was on that thing, smacking that thing around too. It's just like, it's a lot. I mean, trampoline gymnastics. I didn't know that was a thing. People jumping like 50,000 feet in the air, flipping like 50 times. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, I also got caught watching kayaking, and the part that I got stuck on was the angled platform that they dropped from. Because I'm like, if like your race could be over at the beginning.
I mean, they got to do a roll of some sort, like to go underneath a bar. So they literally have to like roll under the water to go under the bar. I'm like, who created this obstacle course?
And like some of the obstacles look like some you see in like a weird video game. So I'm like, why is that there? Like you said, how do you maneuver around that while the water's flowing with other people here? There's a lot going on, right? What you take away from the Olympics the last time we were here?
Yeah, man. I haven't been as diverse in my watching as I hope to be. Just mainly keeping in tune with basketball, track, and gymnastics. Yeah, man. But yes, just even with those three, it's been some stuff going on. Saw Canada get eliminated. People had high hopes for them. So yeah, I'm sure that's disappointing for those guys. On the women's side, Nigeria qualifying for the tournament portion for the first time. That's huge. The USA men's and women's, they pretty much handling business as I expected. Just seeing that whole 3-on-3 discourse has been hilarious. The women, they started off. The U.S. women started off extremely slow, but they were dealing with a lot of personnel issues. Some people went down, and they just had to kind of find their way. They got rolling for a bit, but of course, they finished with the bronze. And as Octavia stated, that's cool and all, but we know what they expected to do. But it's still good that they medaled, and I'm sure they're gonna try to improve on that in the next go round. The men's side, it's just been funny to hear the talk. I mean, I don't know where those guys came from or who's responsible for selecting the team. It's just funny, man. And now, of course, there's all this whole big three chatter. people, I'm going to explain this one time. The big 3-on-3, and FIBA 3-on-3 is a completely different game. So just chill with all that. And that's the most I'm gonna say about that right now. But yeah, in track, that whole debacle with Sha'Carri and Shelly Ann, uh, from what I've been able to, what I think I understand is they were delayed because they didn't arrive on a team bus or something. Then they had to walk an hour to another location to enter, and then walk all the way back to the real entrance. Like that's just craziness. And I completely understand why Shelly Ann pulled out the race, because for one, she's up there in age, and with a sport like track, you need your full warm up time, because being that explosive without preparing your body the right way, you're almost guaranteed to get injured. So it's unfortunate, but I mean, I can see why she put her health in front of in front of the chance to compete given those circumstances. And shout out to Sha'Carri for going ahead. We all know what happened the last go around with the Olympics. This was her first games. I'm sure she was excited to run, and she was still able to get a silver medal. So it's it's unfortunate her first experience was quote unquote salient with something like that, but glad she was able to still compete and perform reasonably well. And today, Gabby Thomas, like, to smoke people like that in in the Olympics, that's crazy. And who was the other lady? Sydney McLaughlin. She, like, when I saw the photo of the finish of the race, I didn't even notice her at first. I'm like, why are they showing a photo of an unfinished race? But she was just that far ahead of everybody. I was like, dang. But yeah, that was cool. But I did get to I tapped into some field events because my cousin's wife she actually competed for Nigeria in the discus. So I started watching. I watched a good portion of that, and then I watched the men do the shot put and the hammer throw, and God bless their shoulders and back, man. I
and
can't
then it was
imagine.
raining on one of them. I was like, somebody was
But yeah, that's but I mean the games have been cool. Honestly, my favorite part of the Olympics has been watching Snoop and Flavor Flav just live life.
That's a good point too. Like, it's been a lot of like celebrity sightings that have just been like wow, like, okay, like, I mean, like, of course Snoop and Martha, and then Flavor Flav everywhere with the water polo team. A funny one that I saw was like seeing like Suni Lee and Jordan Childs like geek out to meet Olivia from Law and Order SVU. Like, they geeked out to meet her. And I was like, okay, this is where we are now. But yeah, that's a good point. The celebrity sightings were good. And I don't mean to cut you off, but somebody tell Dwayne Wade to chill. That's all. Come on. It's getting out of control.
I gotta follow that up. You gonna just drop somebody tell
it's getting out of control. Like, the memes were hilarious. They was like, that was the equivalent of saying, yes, sis. Like, come on, bro. I'm sorry. I can't take it. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm putting myself back on me.
Well, whatever I was about to say does not, it no longer matters.
I hate listening to him during the game. Like, stop talking, bro. Like, Jesus Christ. And for him to even acknowledge, like, I'm not an analyst, I'm just a hooper that know basketball. Like, sir, shut up. Stop talking. It's like he reminded me of somebody that was like an alumni of like a high school and was like coming back, like, what's up, bro? What's up, man? Oh yeah, remember I used to do this? Oh yeah, man, this used to be my stomping grounds. Like, all right, we get it. We get it, bro. You played in the Olympics a bunch of times. You got a lot of teammates out there. Like, Jesus Christ. If he say Bam Monte one more time, his mom will call him Bam. I'm gonna call him Bam. Sir, shut I'm sorry. Okay. I think I'm done now. It was annoying. I was like, bruh, we got LaChina Roberts on the women's side, who was an actual analyst that I can listen to during the women's game. And they got Dwayne Wade over there just talking nonsense. There's fingernail polish on.
Oh my goodness.
I'm done.
Yeah. What happened with Shelly and Shikari was trash. They need to do better than that. There shouldn't be like if there's last minute changes with the gate people are allowed to go in. I feel like it's your duty as the Olympics to make sure personally everyone knows. Don't just send out an email the night before, bro, during the Olympics and be like, it changed. We sent an email. That's not good enough to me. Send somebody from your staff to look each member that's racing in their eye the night before. This is changing. We need you. Like Ray, like you said, it's the sprints. You can't miss warm-ups. All right, hey, in between, okay? Shelly Ann, I'm not mad at you. My age, your age, we not doing that. I need the full day of warm-up, buddy. You're tripping. The full day, my whole process, you disturbed it. I'm not doing all that. Shikari, shout out to you. And I get Shikari's point of view too. I didn't get here last time. I might as well make the most of it. But again, we saw how she was affected in that. I don't know what's up with the US folks on both the men's and women's side as far as it goes with sprinting. I need all y'all to go find somebody who can whisper into y'all ears on how to improve start times because everyone's horrible as a group on both sides. You're just horrible. Once y'all get going, after they get to the portion when it's drive, lift your head up, then the race begins for y'all. Y'all are all superheroes. When it's time to lift your head up and get going. But that first 3 steps, horrible. Everyone, please figure it out. Shout out to the young lady that won the 100s. She ran a perfect race. She got out that block, and she did not look back. It was perfect. It was textbook. That is teach tape for that event for sure. I tell you talk about the men's side of things. Again, going back to start time, somebody got out the blocks the way they were supposed to. We wouldn't have no issue. Credit to you for doing what needed to be done. But can y'all please, America, get your start times together? You wouldn't even been in that situation. And then kudos to those folks in some of the longer distance events that you guys mentioned. Right? They got off the blocks great and they finished great. People weren't even in the picture anymore. Two of the women that you guys mentioned, again, I'm not gonna remember names right now. When you talk about people not in the screen, at one point it looked like they were just out for a stroll. But that's the Olympics. They got the camera going with them and nobody's in the shot. Like they did something wrong. Like they started before everybody else. Now just nobody's around. We finished. It was that easy. Dominant victories. Shout out to the Nigerian women getting to the medal round. I think that's huge. Also, I want to flowers of South Sudan on the men's side. I know they didn't make it to the medal round, but that was the first time competing in the Olympics since they've been independent. And shout out to Lil Dang for what he's been doing. Funding that out your own pocket is crazy. And shout out to him for what him and Royale Ivy have been able to do. And they gave folks problems. So I'm anxious to see what it looks like in a couple of years. Again, I tell you, you brought up the broadcast. If you were able to get around what she was talking about, there were tiny little nuggets, at least for South Sudan, when people talk about them, isn't like you were just in the Olympics without having an indoor gym in the country. I feel like, within the next 4 years, if you get that taken care of, that could go a long way. Like you were rumbling just now, pushing Serbia, you pushed the US and, an exhibition and whatnot. But yeah, I think I've enjoyed most of everything. The women's soccer has been fun. I know the men's soccer fell. And then gymnastics, as you said, yes, Miss Andrade of Brazil is a beast. I'm happy that she was able to win so people could really appreciate her. And I thought it was cool, just the appreciation the three of those ladies had for each other. In that moment, everyone's happy. Like some people, and also the discourse around the Olympics, some of y'all need help. It's far more than going outside and touch grass. Y'all need to go outside, take a trip, go visit somewhere, just get away, unplug. Like people are upset because of, them showing love to her for winning. Like What's wrong with y'all? Like, it's the Olympics. Everybody got a medal. Everybody should be happy. Like, Katie Ledecky handling business on her side of things. Shout out to Marchand, the French swimmer. And their coach, his coach. Think about that, man. You have Phelps and then this guy. You enjoying life. You're going to have a hell of a book to write. You may be able to sell anything at any time. Rest of your life. You got those two stories to tell. But yeah, looking forward to the rest of the Olympics as we go. I'd say we're gonna pass things over to you. NFC East, we're getting closer and closer. I think what is this? Officially the first week of preseason.
We have officially reached the official first preseason week of 2024-2025 season. Preseason kicks off Thursday. Don't remember who plays off the top of my head right now, but it kicks off Thursday. This also with preseason in the second week of training camp, also kicks off joint practices. So we'll have a lot of joint practices coming up. And I mean, we had one today and yesterday, and they out there wilding. I mean, they doing everything but playing football. Again, we talk about people swinging. People who got on hard helmets and wondering what's going to happen. But I mean, man, Malik Neighbors out there for the New York Giants. He's having a very impressive camp, as most would have expected. He's been everywhere. He's been doing what he needs to do. He's basically been dominating everything within the past 2 days against the Detroit Lions, who they are having a joint training camp practice with yesterday and today, and they will be facing them. And I take that back. That's who plays Thursday. They will be facing them Thursday for the first preseason game against the Detroit Lions. Cool stat that I saw in total: Neighbors was targeted 18 times in live drills, which are 11-on-11s and 7-on-7s over the two practices. He caught 17 of those. Nice stat line. I mean, granted, training camp, I like to always say, take this with a grain of salt. But if somebody throws you the ball 18 times, you catch a 17, I'm gonna kind of like you if I'm a quarterback. So I understand. So 17, I mean, he's just been showing out. I expect him to be one of the breakout stars in the wide receiver game. Maybe not this year, I don't know, because we do know we still got Daniel Jones back there, who, coming off of an ACL injury, is inciting scuffles at practice, which makes zero sense to me. You're the quarterback, sir. You need to go the opposite way. You are the broken down quarterback as well. You definitely need to go the opposite way. Understand you want to defend your teammates and everything like that, but you can't afford to have another injury-riddled season coming off of ACL injuries, neck injuries, hand injuries. He needs to be in bubble wrap. So, but hey, what do I know? Now they did have a couple of scares in their last couple of training camp practices. Although seems to be everything okay. Talking about Malik Neighbors, he did catch a touchdown in a 7-on-7 drill. Came down on his shoulder, briefly went to the sideline, but he looks to be fine. As well as edge Brian Burns. He also left the field with a right ankle injury. Got a retape. Seemed like he was fine. And but they did have edge defender Boogie Basham was carted off late in practice with an undisclosed injury as well. So that's the thing you have as well when you have joint practices, when you have full pad practices. We got to make sure these players are in good shape where they're not going to get injured before the season starts. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to dwell on this for too long, just because, again, it's preseason, it's training camps. I really feel like we won't really get a good grasp of anything until we at least start seeing some games of some of these people who are going to be possibly on the further behind on the depth chart that we'll get to see. Unofficial depth charts were released, but again, unofficial, they're not always going to give you everything that you need. So speaking of unofficial depth charts, we'll go to the Washington Commanders, who, again, their first preseason game is August 10th at noon. On the unofficial depth chart, last week we talked about, I don't know why they won't just designate Jaden Daniels as starter at this point. He's going to start. Might as well do it. on the first unofficial depth chart. He was named as quarterback 1 with Marcus Mariota behind him. I mean, he's definitely been a big focus of their rookie class, but they do also have 2 other rookies that seem to be kind of showing out a little bit. Second round corner Mike Sarenstill and third round left tackle Brandon Coleman were listed as starters. Just to note, second year first round pick Emmanuel Forbes is sitting behind Benjamin St. Juste as of now as a cornerback. I did read something where he said he feels like, you know, he definitely has to prove himself a lot more this year, which we know, especially coming off of the season that he had as a first round pick, and as well as now having a brand new coaching staff where, I mean, you got to deal with people that didn't pick you. They just inherited you at this point. So you definitely got a lot to prove. You know, I still think his biggest struggle is when we putting on some more weight. He's very frail. And the likes of the wide receivers that we've seen, and there are some big wide receivers in the NFC East as well, that he's going to want to contend again. Who knows if he's going to get the playing time that he wants, but he's definitely going to have to kind of beef up a little bit. But second rounder corner Mike Sarenstill, he's impressed the coaches a lot with defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. stating he doesn't walk around like a rookie. He asks good questions, has a presence and a maturity. As far as left tackle, Brandon Coleman, he also stated from their offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury, stating that he's a tremendous athlete. They're really liking his progress currently. So those are good notables for their rookies coming through. As we know that, again, the Washington Commanders has a brand new coaching staff. But it always comes back down to the offensive line, which is a little bit of a discourse right now. Right guard Sam Cosmi hasn't practiced since last Friday because of an illness, and right tackle Andrew Wiley remains sidelined with what he simply says is tightness. It seems like at the interior spot, Sam Cosmi at right guard, Biades at center, and Nick Algoretti at left guard. Seems like that those will be their starters. And it's likely that Andrew Wiley will start at right tackle. But again, we're still very, very early in training camp. Anything can change in a moment, which again, unfortunately, sometimes comes with injuries that gives other players opportunities to step into, you know, a chance to show what they can do. Speaking of joint practices as well, the Commanders will hold their first joint practice with the Jets on Thursday before Saturday's game. So they'll play Saturday. They'll have their first joint practice this Thursday. Excuse me. Next, we'll go to the Dallas Cowboys. So again, we'll have their first preseason game August 11th at 4:25 against the Los Angeles Rams, who they will also have their first joint practice with this Thursday. As we know, they do their training camp out there in sunny California. I mean, of course, the biggest thing is always just going to be there's still no CeeDee Lamb. That has to get done. It just has to. I don't know what else there is to say about it. I don't know what Jerry knows, Steven knows. I don't know. This should be a no-brainer at this point. So the longer, in my opinion, that he sits out, I mean, granted, it gives a lot of the rookies and maybe first year wide receivers opportunities to get more snaps. But they need CeeDee Lamb. Like, it's just point blank, period. One of those young wide receivers are flashing is Tyron Billy Johnson, making noise at wide receiver, as well as Jalen Tolbert and Jalen Brooks. They're all playing really, really well as far as being early in training camp. They have, they don't have the deepest of wide receiver rooms currently. Of course, no CD right now. I did forget last week. I don't know why I forgot. They do still have Brandon Cooks, who, of course, coming into a second year there, that will help him as well. But they definitely, have some situations where it could be a hard cut when it gets down to it, because a lot of their young players are playing well right now. So it'll be interesting to see what direction they go when they cut it down to a 53-man roster, which we know is always the hardest. On the defensive side, I mean, the standout is still Deron Bland, first team All-Pro from last year, consistently knocking the ball out of receivers' hands, playing coverage, very sticky coverage. On Tuesday today, he forced an impressive pass breakup that was supposed to be an interception while covering Jalen Brooks downfield. they're stating that, of course, you know, in the midst of it, I'm sure Dak Prescott's like, bruh, I'm tired of this dude because he's always there. But, you know, real time, game day, he's going to like that. I just don't want to see you do it when I'm trying to throw the ball to my wide receivers, of course. I'm very interested to see if Deron Bland is going to be able to replicate the same thing he had last year, you know, that got him. Because, I mean, he kind of busted on the scenes and just was like, I'm here, bro. So I'll be very interested to see if he's going to be able to replicate that next year. I'm also interested to see what they're going to do with Ezekiel Elliott. I haven't heard much about him at camp either. Coming back after being in New England last year and spending all of his years before that in Dallas. Going to be pretty interesting. So we'll see how that goes as well. Last but not least, Philadelphia Eagles, who will play their first preseason game August 9th, 7:30. They actually won't have their joint practice until their second week preseason games, which will be against the New England Patriots. Their first joint practice will be August 13th. Impressive stat that has been thrown around. Quarterback Jalen Hurts has now thrown an interception through 9 training camp practices. When you think about him being in another new system with another new offensive coordinator and Kellen Moore, learning a brand new system, it's impressive. Again, it's training camp. I try not to read too deep into it. But I mean, doing that, it shouldn't be hard not to do that when you have the likes of AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Paris Campbell becoming one of Jalen Hurts' new favorite toys, Dallas Goedert as well. Some of the rookie wide receivers as well, and Johnny Wilson out of Florida State, who they're liking as well. So that's definitely, it shouldn't be that hard. We have that much talent, but we know it's not that easy. Also, they do have a couple of injury updates. Linebacker Oren Brooks with a knee. Paris Campbell did have a groin injury. Safety CJ Gardner Johnson had a shoulder injury, but they don't expect it to be anything long term. Cornerback Mekhi Garner with a hamstring, and linebacker Brandon Smith with a concussion. They all missed practice today, as well as Cam Jurgens, the center replacing Pro Bowl, future Hall of Fame center Jason Kelce. Just missed practice today with an illness. Well, was limited in practice with an illness, as well as guard Tyler Steen with ankle and wide receiver Austin Watkins as well. Was limited in practice due to an illness. Still very early. One thing that I really like from reading as well and looking at everything happening in training camp is we know what Saquon can do as far as running the ball and even receiving the ball. But one thing I think I don't know if you want to say underrated. Maybe I don't think a lot of people talk about it a lot is as far as his pass blocking. The Eagles don't usually do a lot of running versus linebackers, pass protections and one-on-ones, but they ran a bunch of them. He stopped Devin White in all 3 of their reps together, plus an additional rep on Zach Bond. So as you know, when you have Jalen back there, who of course last year struggled against the blitz, it's going to be nice to have Saquon back there to help him with protection. And then of course, I mean, you have a semi-newer offensive line. You know, you have some pieces that you're plugging in when you lose Jason Kelce. But it's nice, you know, that he's also going to be back there to protect. Funniest stat to me always Jake Elliott, which is probably undeniably probably a favorite, one of the favorites on the team. Just because I kind of watch all their videos and stuff, so I just kind of know. He had his first missed field goal of camp. He was previously 12 of 12. He's now 17 of 18. He was good from 33, 36, 43, 38, and 28. He missed from 58, wide, left, and short. But as we know, Jake Elliott is one of the best kickers in the league. So I'll give him a little bit of a break. He needs to not miss field goals, but we'll take it for now. We're in training camp. This is where you mess up at. So get all the misses out of the way now. It's when the season starts. I don't want to see it. Going to be very interesting, especially when we talk about kicking. The new kickoff rule was in effect. I'll be honest. I watched the Hall of Fame game. I think I was asleep by like 3 minutes into the game. So I didn't see that many of the actual kickoffs. But they did say that it did what seems like the league wants to make it more safe. but to also make it a little bit more explosive and not just kickoff, touchback, kickoff, touchback. So I'm interested to see how that evolves as the season goes on, people's different plans when it comes down to the kicking. But yeah, I'll be happy when training camp is over, to be fair, because you have all of these what ifs with this, who's going to make it, who's not going to make it. I like it when we get down to the nitty gritty. We know who's going to be there, and we know the people that we need to depend on week in and week out. Last but not least, Hard Knocks starts tonight with the Chicago Bears. Definitely interested to see how that looks. Just because, the mystique of the whole Caleb thing, Roman Dunze, all of the weapons that they have, the newly signed DJ Moore. So that should be interesting as well. So give it a look.
For sure. Steps taken to begin the 2024 NFL season, for sure. On to take it or leave it. Got a couple here and then a few rapid fire before we get out of here. We're going to start with the Commanders, though. So we're not done with them. Octavia, you kind of touched on this earlier. I'm sure you didn't know this was on the list.
No,
however, Jaden Daniels, as you shared earlier, has been named Washington's starter for the first preseason game. Commanders head coach Dan Quinn said in his Tuesday press conference that Daniels has earned the right to start the first preseason game while making it clear that Daniels is listed QB1 on the team's first unofficial depth chart. It's still unofficial, and I'll let you know when we make final decisions. Yeah, we get it. It's the second overall pick in the draft, and the backup is Marcus Mariota. Mariota ain't playing unless something bad happens. But I hear y'all. It seems highly unlikely that Daniels would fall to backup quarterback behind Marcus Mariota, bearing a complete preseason collapse. I had high expectations for him coming in, but I would say he's definitely surpassed even my expectations of the readiness, the command. Quinn said of Daniels, I knew he was going to be cool knowing the system. Like he's just got that way about him, but you do see the other players gravitate toward him. They recognize how hard he's worked at it. Ray, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on them naming him the preseason starter, but of course, wanting to make sure that we don't get too far ahead of ourselves and make sure that preseason starter. He's preseason QB1.
It's useless nonsense. Like, come on. Like you said, there's no way he doesn't start unless something very bad happens. And so, yeah, I don't understand what the point of this exercise is. But, yeah, do you, man. But we all know what the eventuality is. And if it's not that, despite some catastrophe, then professional malpractice. Yeah. But yeah, I don't understand what this is about. He's the second pick and the obvious best choice for the job on your roster. You're not fooling anybody. Just go ahead and make it official.
Also, not to mention between that statement, every other day, there's some news of everyone drooling over him. So, whatever works for you, as Ray said. Octavia.
Yeah, so I think Dan Quinn is just feeling himself a little bit now that he's back as a head coach and he gets to have these press conferences and get to say these things all the time and be the focus of everything going on. Like I said this week and like I said last week, I don't know why we're delaying the inevitable. You guys sucked enough where you got the number 2 pick last year. Let's just call it what it is. You let go of said starter that was there last year, and you mean to tell me that the overall number 2 pick that you picked up is potentially going to sit behind Marcus Mariota? Not happening. So yeah, he can have fun with that. I'm gonna leave it because he's tripping. Also, it's cool to be named as preseason starter. I hope with it being the first preseason of the game, I hope he gets like one series. Don't have that man out there too long, and he don't really know what's going on. And he's supposed to be your starting quarterback of the year. Usually the starters of the year don't play till like game 2, a little bit of game 3 or whatever. I understand that he's a rookie and needs to get out there and get his reps in and things of that sort. But like Ray said, don't have that malpractice come at you, and then you really ain't got no choice but to play Marcus Mariota. So just be careful. My favorite saying that I know, Wilson, I know you said you took it from somebody else, but it's still my favorite saying. Bad teams do bad things. And the Washington Commanders franchise has done bad things for a very long time. And they have a very bad record with getting injured quarterbacks. So be very careful. Let him be out there. Let him get his paces. And then let him sit down for a little bit and think about what he did. And we'll talk about it next week.
Facts. Get the most out the joint practices and keep it moving, man. Get the kid week 1 healthy as possible. But yeah, I just laughed at that when I saw earlier this week. Like, come on, y'all. Dude won a Heisman. We ain't. It's not some small school type thing. Like, we not doing this. All right. He was on Hard Knocks of another team. Like, what are we doing? You had the GM of the Lions telling his dad how dumb he was. Like, what you doing? If you could pick anyone, son, not Danny Dimes. Like, that's crazy. To the next thing, though. Howard University leadership has not yet vetted men's basketball coach Kenny Blakeney's proposal to sell a 1/3 stake in his program in exchange for $100 million. The school told ESPN in a statement on Tuesday. The Washington Post reported last week that Blakeney met with a private equity firm in June and spoke with potential investors in July, with the end goal of preventing Howard men's basketball program from getting left behind in the ever-changing college sports landscape. In a statement provided to ESPN on Tuesday, Howard Athletic Director Kerry Davis said Blakeney's plans reflect his own personal ideas and have not been vetted by university leadership. Men's basketball head coach Kenny Blakeney is a terrific leader of young men and has made a significant contribution to our athletic department and the university at large, recruiting phenomenal student athletes and navigating the program to consecutive Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference championships and NCAA tournament appearances the last 2 seasons, Davis said. Like all of our coaches and athletic administrators, Coach Blakeney continues to enthusiastically explore ideas to generate financial support that would allow our student athletes to be more competitive as they represent the university. Over the years, we have been extremely fortunate to secure sponsorships and gifts that have tremendously helped our 21 Division I teams, from a multi-million-dollar renovation of our training facility to covering expenses for student athletes to engage in cultural enrichment programs, allowing them to travel and compete abroad. Recent remarks attributed to Coach Blakeney reflect his own personal ideas and have not been vetted by university leadership. Once again, according to the Post, Blakeney is looking to secure an initial $100 million to improve the program's arena and roster, and then either go independent or join a bigger conference. Blakeney would put $50 million towards renovations to Bird Gymnasium, while he would then spend $4 to $5 million in name, image, and likeness money to build a roster. The recent House settlement will allow schools to pay players directly. That's up to 22% of the average revenue from media rights, ticket sales, and sponsorships, with Power Conference schools expected to be able to spend between $20 and $22 million. Yeah, Octavia, we'll start with you and then Ray. I guess first off, what do you think of Coach Blakeney's idea? And then your thoughts on like the school kind of like, that's his idea. I repeat, that's his idea. And again, that's his idea. Y'all thoughts on that?
Yeah, the fact that it's his idea means like we ain't with that. That sounds cool, but you do know we Howard University, right? I mean, I think new ideas are always good. I don't know how much I know enough about selling stakes and doing all this other stuff is going to work. Coming from an HBCU myself, I know that funding is tough, not just for athletics, but for the school as a whole. And that's speaking from, I'll be honest, my school is one of the most highest paid, whatever, sponsorship schools that there is. But I'm pretty sure almost anytime I hear that somebody is donating to a HBCU, they donating to Howard. So, I mean, I get it. I mean, ideas are great. I don't know if it's going to be 100% what he wants. Yeah, it just sounds weird to me. That's all. I don't know. But But at the same time, like new stuff is always going to sound weird. You know, somebody wants to be the trendsetter to a certain extent, but I don't know. It's just weird. It's like Howard is like a statement school, so it's like okay. I would like to see if he's able to get this done.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't understand what's happening here. Like I don't understand how you sell 1/3 of a college basketball team. I don't understand how you utter this publicly without running it up the ladder. I'm just all around confused. Yeah, the fact that administration is distancing themselves from the idea means it's probably not going to happen. But yeah, it sounds like there's a whole lot of moving parts. Yeah, I don't know how that works. Having private equity investing in a HBCU athletic program. But yeah, you know, I guess people are trying to push the envelope. But let's just go ahead and ease everybody's minds and just disband the NCAA, because this is a wild idea. Like even just saying it out loud, like I don't know, man. But yeah, we'll see. But it doesn't sound like administration's on board. So good luck trying to push something through, and the people that have to sign the paper seemingly don't want to do it. So this will probably be a non-issue very soon.
So yeah, Matsu says, I'm definitely intrigued, and I get it. Like you got to be creative now. That's kind of the wild, wild west with schools being able to, you know, that it's officially able to pay players. NCAA, seriously. Again, now that it's official and legal, I'm intrigued by it. However, this should have been workshop behind closed doors, and we shouldn't have heard anything about it until, like, that's the part of it that I have an issue with, right? This shouldn't be one of the things where you negotiate it through the media. This is something you got a good idea, you did the legwork, what have you, and then y'all hammer it out, and then y'all execute it, and then we all talk about it like, oh, that's intriguing. I wonder how that works, and you can simply tell the Washington Post, this is exactly how we're going to execute this plan. However, the fact that we're here and it sounds like this is why, you know, hey, I'm with y'all right there. You just got to leave it alone. But again, I get it because we're kind of in the wild, wild west, and it could be a game changer. However, the execution of this idea, F's all around. Like, honestly, we shouldn't even heard this on this side of things until, like, I'm talking like PowerPoint lockdown presentation type stuff, like press release with bullet points. You know what I'm saying? PDFs for everybody. That's when the public should have heard about it, and that's not what it was. But again, intrigued, and I'm appreciative of someone trying to think outside the box, because that's what it's going to take for an HBCU to kind of compete with, you know, some of the Power 5 schools in athletics. How the money's being spent right now, because it's crazy. You got schools hiring folks, like essentially being general managers of the NIL for different sports for teams, like getting crazy out there. So like I get it, but execution just not a good thing. All right. Niners coach Kyle Shanahan told reporters Tuesday that star running back Christian McCaffrey would be sidelined for the preseason after sustaining a calf injury during training camp, according to Matt Mayoko of NBC Sports. Shanahan told reporters after practice on Tuesday, today, that McCaffrey has suffered a calf strain. The 28-year-old is not anticipated to be out long term, but he will be sidelined from practice for the next couple of weeks in order to recuperate. The expectation is that he'll be available for the Niners season opener against the New York Jets on September 9th. Big deal for the Niners, right?
I don't think so. You know, of course, without really knowing the full extent, it's hard to judge. But I think Yeah, I just think it's precautionary. It's a guy that's been around for a minute, playing a taxing position. I don't think it's a worry whether he'll be ready or not. I think it's just them being really cautious with one of the cornerstones of their offense. I don't think it's much to look into it.
Octavia?
Yeah, I agree. But I will say, like, I don't know what's going on in the sports world where everybody can't keep their calves in shape. Like, it's too many calf injuries everywhere. Like, we need a calf athletic trainer who only focuses on calves at this point, because if I hear one more person has something wrong with their calf, it's just weird. But yeah, I don't think it'll be an issue. I mean, he's a professional. He's been doing this for a while. We know what he does. And like Ray said as well, we don't know the severity of it. It could just be, and it seems like it's just precautionary. It's not like he has anything that he needs to prove in the preseason. It's not like they got a new coach, they got a new offensive coordinator where he has to learn reps and learn a new offensive system or something. So I don't think it's much to do about nothing. They just signed Matt Breida. He's back. Maybe he takes over for him. I don't know. My hot take of the day.
Hey, he could have stayed in NFC East, man. He left last time because he could hold on to the ball. Ain't nothing changed.
He's back.
For now. Yeah, I just think he's not going to play in preseason, and this is the official. He's not playing in preseason. What is the magic number where we call running backs dead? 30? He's 28.
I save him. I saved these last 2 years, bro. They just restructured them too.
Right, you might as well get the most bang out your butt for the last right? So that's just me. We'll see what happens. Like you guys said, precautionary. I feel like it's also much to do about nothing. Lamar has lost roughly 25 pounds since the 2022 season. When he entered training camp, bulked up at 220 pounds after playing around 208 earlier in his career. Why has Jackson slimmed down since the 2020 campaign, you ask? The Ravens quarterback, in a training camp interview with Jonathan Jones of CBS Sports on Monday, said that he decided to lose weight because he thought he was fat. Felt like I was fat, Jackson said. I just saw a video from 2 years ago against the Browns, and I looked out of shape. My eyes might be deceiving me, but I believe I looked a little slower than me, he said, but not now. Whoever wants to speak first, you can share your thoughts on
tripping. Just say you just wanted to, bro. Like, come on. Like, you were overweight, but you just won MVP. Come on, bro. Just say you. He be trolling though, so I feel like this might be a troll. He be trolling, so like, sir, like what are we talking about? You thought you were slow last year? You threw the ball and caught the ball. You caught your own pass last year, sir. Like, what are we talking about? But go off. I mean, everybody got body dysmorphia. That's how you felt. I feel you did something to change it. Congratulations. I hope it does not have a negative effect on how he plays. Not saying as far as his skill level, but as far as his endurance, as we know that he has also had a bit of an injury history as well, and he needs to stay upright. But at the same time, if he feels like losing weight makes him faster, maybe they can't catch him, somebody gonna catch him. So hopefully he still has enough up there, enough fat, I guess, to cushion the fall whenever it happens. But yeah, I mean, this is much to do about nothing. Like, Ray, I sincerely think he's trolling.
Ray, your thoughts on Lamar feeling like he was fat the last 2 years?
Yeah, man. Whatever, dog. I'm with Octavia, man. I think he's just trying to be funny. Like, there's no way. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I can't tell the man how he feels. Maybe he feels like, the way he's moving around and carrying that much weight. Maybe he felt like he needed to slim down. I don't know. We've seen athletes do it before, but yeah, the reasoning, he can get out of there with that. Like, that's
yeah, man. I'm with Octavia and you, Ray. He's trolling. Like, look, we get it. You put weight on 2 years ago, and you've been leaning out over the last 2 years. Come on, man. I get it. Hell of a job by you, because this shouldn't even be a headline anywhere. It's a hell of a job by you, because your delivery with these quotes must have been amazing. That it got into a publication and put on the website or what have you. Shout out to you for that. But come on, man. Like I tell you just came over MVP, sir. You were vibrating like the Flash through defenses last year. Like, get out of here, dude. Like, what are we talking about? All right, last but not least, because Lamar's tripping. Christian McCaffrey's tripping. We got two people just out here for no reason. On her 23rd birthday, Sophia Smith punched Team USA's ticket to the gold medal match in women's soccer after a scoreless 90 minutes Tuesday at the Parc des Princes. The Americans went into extra time against Germany, searching for the first goal of the game. They found it just about 5 minutes into the stoppage time. U.S. women's national team forward Mallory Swanson sent a pass ahead to Smith, who was in a foot race to get to the ball before Germany goalkeeper and Katrin Berger, and defender Felitis Rauch. Just inside the box, Smith slid and she kicked the ball between Berger and Rauch into the net to put the United States up 1-0 and clinch their victory. Smith's teammates dogpiled on her to celebrate the goal that eventually sent the U.S. to the gold medal match that takes place this Saturday. Smith has either scored or assisted on a goal in 4 of the national team's 5 Olympic Games in Paris. Smith was on the U.S. women's national team that was surprisingly eliminated by Sweden in the round of 16 of the 2023 FIFA World Cup in Australia. The Americans now have a chance to win their first gold medal in women's soccer since winning 3 straight Olympic tournaments from 2004 to 2012. Will the U.S. reclaim their throne? Ray?
Yeah, again, moment of transparency. I don't know too much about U.S. women's soccer, but yes, they will. At least I hope they will. But no, just from my limited exposure, they look like they're fully capable of winning this thing, which they're in the gold medal game, so obviously they must be pretty good. But yeah, they have they got a lot to live up to. We all saw when that squad with Rapinoe and those ladies, they when they did their thing. Even going back to I can't remember her name. The famous picture when she scored the goal and took her jersey off and was celebrating.
Brandy Chaston?
Yes, yeah.
If we're going that far back, I believe.
Yeah, Brandy Chaston and Mia Hamm and and those ladies. So yeah, man, it'll be dope to see them continue that tradition and get USA women's soccer back on top.
Octavia.
So, first of all, shout out to the Olympics for having this game on a Saturday so I can be uninterrupted. I don't got to worry about work. I ain't got to worry about nothing to just watch this game because that is important, as well as giving them some time off to prepare for said game because they've had 2 back-to-back extra time games where it goes to 120 minutes plus. And they're already shorthanded with a lot of injuries as well. So they have, I'm sure, a lot of tired legs, and they're going to need this time off to prepare for Saturday. But to answer the question, they got damn better. They got damn better in this game. I'm probably going to have a terrible Saturday if they lose this game because I'm not going to be able to take it. I understand their strategies that they've been doing in the Olympics. They've been very methodical about not pressing too hard, making sure that they pass the ball around enough, and being very strategic on their attacks. I love Sophia Smith. I love Trinity Rodman. I really want Lindsey Horan to get a little bit more into it because I like, before I really got into Sophia and Trinity, like Lindsey, when she came on the scene, I was my girl. So I want her to kind of get back into her groove as well. But yeah, they're playing great. They're not playing flashy. I mean, by watching the games, you hear the crowd booing because they're passing the ball around in the backfield and not attacking as much as they feel like they should. They're being very methodical. They're sticking to their game plan, and it's been working out for them. They goddamn better win this game. I'm not going to be in a good mood if they don't. We don't want no silver, like you guys just talked about. All of the greats before them, the Megan Rapinos, the Mia Hams. I mean, I know she ain't there right now, and it was controversial at one point. Alex Morgan's. I fell in love with Julie Ertz when she was playing as well. Crystal Dunn deserves it. She's been killing back there. And also shout out to Germa. She's been killing back there. She doesn't get the publicity that the others do because she doesn't score, but she's back there defending her ass off during these games where I personally appreciate it because that was my role, because I couldn't dribble to save nobody. I can definitely kick the ball away from your ass though. So she's been back there doing her thing. So I'm rooting for them hard. I hope they do, and I have high hopes that they will.
Yeah, shout out to their coach for doing something that I wish the men's side of things would learn. She's letting their very gifted offensive players play freely. I know it's a novel concept, and that's crazy. It's kind of scary. Those three women put the fear of God in opposing teams' back lines. Sometimes, again, I know this is risky, folks on the men's side of things. I know this is scary. You should just let them raise hell. Everyone behind them, handle your business, get them the ball in space, and be ready to be a part of the show if needed. Outside of that, hey, dog, you did your part. Let those three young ladies go make the biggest mess in the world. Like, those three are dynamic as hell together. Just let it happen. Also, they still, like, it's still new.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm looking forward to, is like, this is kind of like the beginning of something for these three, right? It's going to get better the more reps they have with each other. But they bring in this is not to knock some of the past teams that Ray brought up. And those very good teams that accomplished a lot. They play with a different bit of style and flair than some of them other teams did. These athletes, these three, they're a little different. You know, and again, the men's side of things, I wish I would learn. Y'all seem to never learn, but that's your problem. We'll talk about y'all another time, because I don't think you're ever going to get right. But again, we'll leave y'all alone. I just appreciate what this new coach has done, which is you can coach and still not take what makes a player special away from them. That matters sometimes too. Like, we got Trinity being Trinity, Mallory's being Mallory, Sophia's being Sophia. Go and be like, lo and behold, I don't know if the three of them keep rumbling together. Like, they'll start doing stuff where they don't need to communicate. They'll get even more in sync with their runs. It can only get scarier as they go forward. Shout out to this coach for understanding that, like, you can have a structure in place. You can have a philosophy of how you want to play, but you're not being a stickler like some of the folks on the men's side where it's like, no fun. Don't do that. That needs to go there, and there before it goes there. And that's why y'all keep getting L after L after L. Yeah, creativity flowing in. It's the opposing team's defensive fault. And I think some of the reasons, Octavia, you talked about some of the games in which they've played where it takes them a while to score. I think, like, for all 11 of them out there, the 10 that are on the field, excluding the keeper, everybody got to get used to. They haven't had three people up there like that before. Every once in a while, they've had like a special person, maybe two, but the two weren't like similar. Right? They got three demons up front. Like, that's a whole lot to deal with. So yeah, I don't know if I'm where you at with Octavia. You said they better win. I hope that they win. I hope that they win, but you know, it's still a young group or whatnot. But I like where they're going, and I wish the men's side would learn to do something similar. Shout out to this coach. I'm so sorry, I cannot think of her name right now, but shout out to her, because, bro, she just showed up and she got them, like, she got them where they need to be at. Shout out to her for that.
Emma Hayes. There it goes. I want to say Smith.
To Coach Hayes, thank you for pulling that name up because I could not find it. But shout out to Coach Hayes because it's one thing to coach a team and try to change things and whatnot. It's another thing to show up and then you're in Olympic competition. Here we are. And they were scoring consistently before the last couple of games. And I just think some of it is just reps. Just reps, and it's a little bit more free-flowing style or whatnot. But looking forward to it. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to get over to thefocustv.com. We will see you several more times this week for U.S. men's and women's basketball on those recaps. And then by next week, like the WNBA is back. Like we're on with everything's coming back. We're a couple weeks away from the NFL officially kicking off. So like things are back. We appreciate you guys. We'll see y'all next week.